Alright, so we went ahead and got it back in. Used the torque wrench. It calls for 52 pounds of torque. I set it in about 55. It says set it at 52 pounds of torque and then go 72 degrees more. Just torque it down to 55. You should use some Loctite. It doesn't technically require it. I changed out the keys on it. Now, this is a finished product here. I just put the torque wrench down here and, tightened it up. Not a big deal. It's all the way exactly where it's supposed to be. There is a relearn sequence for the crank positioning sensor. I'm not sure why. I guess on certain vehicles it comes with the relearn procedure. So if there's an issue, I'll find out here in a minute when I go to start the vehicle. I'm not going to put all this back together until I start it, but I'm going to show you the problem with this one and what it was having. Now this is the old one. Pretty rusted. The car is from up north, so there is going to be a lot of rust everywhere. But I'm going to show you something here. I don't know if you guys can see this. Right there, there's a rubber ring that goes all the way around the whole thing. Now the problem is, if you look on this other side here, if you look straight down, this ring here for the crank sensor is actually sticking out farther than it's supposed to be by a lot. And what it is that there's a gap in between here that's not supposed to be there. So the inside of this, the pulley itself has actually walked off of the center probably about over 1/4 of an inch. And so it's throwing the whole thing out of balance, causing it to do this, causing the belt to wear prematurely and to destroy itself. Eventually that whole O-ring that goes around there, or that rubber bushing, would have completely failed and the top would have came loose from inside. It would just been a pain in the ass. So, recap. What do you have to do this? Well, up here, all you got to do is take loose your serpentine belt. Okay, that just requires a ratchet or a serpentine belt removing kit, which I find is a load of BS to charge you about 80 bucks for a damn thin breaker bar that's just made to hold on to it and, pull it up. Let's see what we got here. You're going to need an 18 millimeter on a regular 3/8 ratchet with a 6" extension. That's just to hand tighten it in so that it pulls it all the way in. And then you're going to want to use the torque wrench. There wasn't a lot of resistance there. I didn't mean to use grease. I just used a little bit of oil, lubed it up. I couldn't push it on by hand. If it was a Toyota, it would have gone in without a problem. But these do require, it's a tighter fit, so it does require that you do ratchet it back on. 18 millimeter torque wrench. I set it to 55 pounds. It calls for 52 pounds and then a 72 degree turn. I just like saying it just 3 pounds more. It's not going to hurt it. It's not going to strip anything. It's just that extra little bit of security. You're going to need your harmonic balancer puller kit. Don't use the claw ones if you don't have to. Claw ones tend to actually break the pulley itself while you're taking off, so you can cause more damage than you're actually already facing. So just be careful with that. 10 millimeter socket. I use the smaller socket set for it. I don't feel the need to go through all my sockets to find a 10 millimeter, especially in a small place like this. So I just went ahead and put a 10 millimeter socket on a 1/4 inch drive ratchet. Small 6" extension. Nothing real high tech there. And you're also going to need a wrench just for leverage, as far as if you're going to do it with the ratchet to loosen up the serpentine belt on the tensioner. Just use a wrench, a good 13/16 wrench, box end, just to give you that little more leverage you're going to need to get it off. Other than that, there's not much to this. I didn't have to drop the motor down this time. There was plenty of room to actually take it out once it came loose. And you'll know when it's loose. The second you'll see it drop, and then you'll lose tension on that center bolt that you have to actually tighten down to get it to pull off. Just take out your 3 bolts that are holding in the harmonic balancer, put it to the side, just like that, and just bring it down away from it. Put the new one up, put a little bit of oil just to help it along some. Hand thread the first at least 3-4 threads until it stops, and then grab your ratchet and slowly start going. You do not want to cross thread that bolt, so just take your time, it'll go in, and then just keep ratcheting it down until you see it stop. It's probably gonna have I want to say a 1/4 of an inch behind that this ring for the crank positioning sensor that goes all the way around it. You'll have about a 1/4 inch between that and the block of the engine, where the lower oil pan is. Also, you're going to want to clean up the crank positioning sensor where you have it available to you, and you don't have to take a whole bunch of stuff apart. Just do like what I did. I used a little bit of carb cleaner and a razor blade just to get a bunch of the buildup that was on it off. Let me grab this real quick. If you see on this one, it's actually pretty clean. It's not too bad. But that one part, the crank positioning sensor, did take some good amount of cleaning. So hopefully, it'll last quite a bit longer. Because in order to change that crank sensor, you have to pull the harmonic balancer. To change that seal, you have to pull the harmonic balancer. And anytime you do a timing belt or a timing chain, you're going to have to pull that harmonic balancer. So just keep that in mind. It's not a part that always fails quickly. This car has over 200,000 miles. It was going to fail eventually. And I know this video is going to be like this small because of the way I'm holding the phone. I'm sorry about that. It's just, it's been a long day. I didn't really plan on making this video. But I haven't seen any videos that actually show you how to do it. They show you the before and after product. They tell you, oh, I got it off. Okay, well, I'll get back to you when I get it on. And it's just like, they don't walk you through the steps. So your first step is going to be take off the serpentine belt. You don't have to take it all the way out. Just take it off the idler pulley. Then, take the belt off the lower harmonic balancer. You're going to want to go ahead and remove your 2 splash guards here for your inner fender here. There's going to be at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6. I know there's a couple in the front. Just clips like these. Plastic clips, push clips. And then you're going to have another probably about 4 screws, 10 millimeters, hence the 10 millimeter wrench. And then just push this out of the way. You don't have to rip it completely out. Just put it out of the way so you don't have to deal with it directly. Then what you're going to do is you're going to set up your harmonic balancer puller. You're going to want to get the harmonic balancer bolt broken loose first. You can do it with an impact, or like I said, with that there, just set it on the ground to the lower A-arm and just kick the key. You're going to want to disable the coil pack on this so that the engine doesn't accidentally start on you, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. I already went ahead and disabled this coil pack. If you see the plug right here, underneath all this right here, there's going to be a little plug, and all you're going to do is unplug that, and it just stops the motor from getting sparks, so that if you're kicking that key, it doesn't all of a sudden turn over and then the motor's running, it spins out that whole bolt, and then all of a sudden the harmonic balancer slings off, and yeah, it wouldn't be fun. So after you do that, you're going to want to set it up on a 3-tier puller. Now you notice that there's 4 here. Well, it's because there's different styles of harmonic balancers and there's different ways of pulling them. With this one, what you're going to use, your right side here, your left side here, and then you're also going to use the bottom side, the long side. You're not going to use this one, don't worry about it. You're going to set it up to where you got all 3 lined up, put all 3 bolts in. On this one, I think there is, let me see here, give me just 1 second. They're going to be 14 millimeter. And I'm not sure how coarse the thread is. The thread is a little coarse. Just make sure you don't strip them. while getting them in or taking them off. Granted, it is going to be a little work getting them in there. If you can't see that, there's a bunch of rust dust and stuff in there. Shoot a little bit of PB Blaster or some WD-40 in there and just give you a little bit of extra lube. You won't need that kit to put it back on. Then once you get it out, drop it down. Like I said, there's plenty of room. You're going to want to put the bolt through here for this top one here. I don't know if y'all can see that. There's a bolt hole right here, and that's why you're going to want this just like that. If you have to, take a wrench or just a flathead screwdriver and lift this up. This whole thing does move. It's just set on a couple clips, and get that screwed in, leave it alone, screw in the next one, screw in the next one after you have your stuff set up, and it'll pull out. It is going to take a little bit of force behind it. Like I said, it is a pretty tight fit, and they don't make these things just to slide off on this one. I had to use a wrench as leverage to get it off, but after I got that, everything went smooth. So if you guys have any questions and comments, you know, go ahead and hit the like video if you like this, if it helped you out in any way. I know this one was a little lengthy, but like I said, anything can be done if you know what you're doing and if you have help. So I've done this plenty of times before. I knew what it was going to entail. It took me probably about 22 minutes to change this harmonic balancer out after I got all my tools together. So go ahead, if you have any questions, comments about this or any other videos I have on my channel, go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to try to drop videos new every week. Next week I'm going to be working, or not next week, actually another day or so, I'm going to be working on an 89 Bronco. We got some throttle plate issues and some lifters we're going to replace. And then I also have a 94 Cummins diesel I got to work on. So if you have any questions, comments, go ahead, like, share the video, and let me know what you think. Appreciate it.